Welcome to Bioworld. So today I've come with the important questions and updates for ICSE 2024 Biology. So anybody with the doubts can come and ask me. If you have any doubts regarding your otherwise I will be starting with the important questions. So the first section A, 40 marks is the compulsory part. Have to answer all the questions that deals with the objective. So important chapter already I sent yesterday. From the plant physiology as well as the animal physiology, you have to deal all of them. So MCQ carries 15 marks. 15 marks has to be secured full. So if section A is 40 on 40, you are gaining 100 in biology. It's very important to gain full marks in section A. So probably you all have solved sample paper. MCQs are very important, which will be having questions from all the chapter, from the endocrine, from the plant physiology, photosynthesis, transpiration, population, pollution, chemical coordination. The objective questions are too many from these chapter, nervous system, circulatory system, so you have to deal with all of them. Then name the following the technical terms, choose the odd one, logical sequence from all of the chapters. So all the chapters have equal weightage in section A. So all the chapter under animal physiology and plant physiology have to deal all of them properly. So reading of the chapter is very important to answer all the questions objective one. So your first goal should be securing full marks in section A. If your section A is good, means you have answered all questions, definitely there is a high chance of securing the highest marks. Because section B, you will be getting multiple choices. You will be getting their choices of your kind, so you can answer any 4 of them, but here there are no choices, so you have to do all the chapter properly to get full marks in section A. So whether it is logical sequence, whether it is match the column, whether it is choose the odd one, whether it is name the following, all of them MCQ, all of them you have to do very nicely. So we'll go with the section B, the important part that you have to answer any 4 questions from section B. Answer any 4. Now here I would be discussing important question that is very important. Any 4 out of 6. So you have options with you. You can get your own choice also. So you have to see one thing, that 10 on 10 you are securing from each of the question. So if you are seeing that a question has subparts where you don't know 1 or 2 questions, and where the chances of 10 out of 10 is less, don't attempt that question. Only that question you are going to attempt where you are getting all the answers. So first read the questions properly. Like for example, I am giving you one question. You can understand from one of the question. Like for example, first question, expand ATP. Second question, you may get name 2 nitrogenous base. Third question, any give reason type like addition of salt to the pickles prevents growth of bacteria. So that's very important question. So how the marks would be divided here? expand ATP 1, name 2 nitrogenous bases 2, addition of salts to the pickles again 2. So this is 5 marks. Again the next 3 questions which will be dealing with like diagram based. So you can get any of the diagram from cell division, like for example you got the diagram of fourth question, you got the diagram of prophase. You have to identify the phase and answer its subparts, like label it and draw the next phase. Like you have to draw metaphase. Now it carries, the total question would be carrying 3 marks. Then again one question would be there. It can be 2 adaptations in leaves to perform photosynthesis. Now this will be carrying how much? 2 marks again. So total 10 marks. Now here, out of 10 marks, any of the question if you are not knowing the answer, then you are losing 10 on 10. So your main goal would be seeing all the questions, and if you are knowing all the answers of the questions, then please go for it. First you are going to check that from each of the parts, like I told you how many subparts. In this way the questions should be divided. So if you are knowing all the subparts, then only you will get 10 on 10. So your first goal is section A 40 marks. Second one, 4 questions from section B, each of them carrying 10 marks. So your goal has to be that you are getting 10 on 10. That means all the subparts you are knowing properly, then only you are going to choose that question to answer it. So your first thing is to look, don't jump into writing the answer, but first one is to see that you read all the questions. 6 questions, you have to read them all, and you have to see which question you are knowing fully. That means all 10 marks question you are eligible properly to write. It's not that, oh my god, I know 7 marks question, 3 marks I will think and write later. No. Your first thing will be, you have to choose wisely your question. Which question you are going to attempt to gain this mark. So your first goal is this. So if you set your goal that I have to secure 10 on 10, then what is the meaning coming out here, students? That section A, maybe you are wrong somewhere. So what happened? So if you are not getting in section A 40 on 40, you are getting 38 out of 40. But section B, you are choosing correctly all 4 questions. There you have a chances of getting 40 on 40. So what happens? Out of 80, easily you are securing 78. So this has to be the goal. So this I told you how wisely you have to choose your question. Before starting writing the answer in section B, your 6 questions has to be seen properly, that you are knowing all the sub parts to answer them. Now if you have any doubts, I can see. If you have any doubts, please put forward so I can answer them. Please come up with your doubts. If you have, then I can answer. Otherwise, I'll tell you what to prepare. Please write your doubts in the comment section so I can answer that. Otherwise, I will be telling you what to prepare next. So Ritika asking me, ma'am, can you please tell that why blood flows in spurts in arteries? Very good question. So arteries. Now children, this is very important question Ritika has asked me. Arteries, veins, no, capillaries. Now please do check it. Now these are the 3 important blood vessels, you know. Arteries, vein, cross section every time comes in the exam. Repeated year they have given. So we know cross section means arteries and veins. Arteries have narrow lumen. That means very small lumen. The cross section is very small. Whereas vein, they have wider lumen. So what happened as the cross section area in artery is very small because of narrow lumen. So you have to answer this. Narrow lumen, the cross sectional area is very small in arteries for which blood flow in pressure. Blood flows in pressure and spurts. Because of less area, because of less passage to flow, blood flows in spurts and pressure is created within the wall of the arteries because of the narrow lumen. So your answer, your keyword for this question is, as the cross sectional area is very small because of the narrow lumen. So answer this. This is the keyword for this question. Whereas veins, they have wider lumen, so blood flow very easily in veins. So that is why they carry valves. Why? Because the lumen is wider and blood can flow back. So valves are there to prevent backflow of the blood. Any more question, children? Okay, the next question I'm reading out. Ma'am, what is the difference between diabetes insipidus and diabetes mellitus? So it is asked by Deepa Kumari. So what is diabetes insipidus and diabetes mellitus? I'm answering just now. Please look here. Now this is again very probable question, very important question asked by Deepa. Now what is the difference? Diabetes mellitus. Now, and next one is diabetes insipidus. Now this question is again very interesting and very important as in terms of ICSE. The difference is diabetes both is concerned with the blood sugar, but here the what is the meaning is, here the presence of glucose or sugar in urine. That means urine is loaded with sugar, so concentrated urine is produced here. This is the meaning of diabetes mellitus. The mellitus means sweetness in the urine. Now urine gets sweeter because of the presence of glucose. And what is the reason behind it? The reason is lack of insulin or deficiency of insulin. Now what is diabetes insipidus? Diabetes insipidus is dilute or frequent urination or too much water in the urine. Frequent urination, that is the symptoms, or dilute urine. That means water is too much present in the urine. No concern with the sugar. Here no sugar or glucose is there. What is the reason of it? Lack of ADH. What is the full form? This is very important hormone, children. What is the full form of ADH? Antidiuretic hormone. Now, antidiuretic hormone is also known as vasopressin, which is produced from posterior lobe of the pituitary. So this is a major difference between diabetes mellitus and diabetes insipidus. Diabetes insipidus is because of lack of ADH production. Diabetes mellitus is lack of insulin. Here the urine is loaded with the sugar. There is no loading of the urine with the sugar. Here the urine is very dilute. That means watery urine. Too much urine is frequently produced. Here glucose is there in the urine because glucose could not be metabolized because of the absence of insulin or lack of insulin in the blood. Next question. Next question is that role played by air bubbles in the Genong spotometer. This is asked by Shreya. Okay, I'm answering Shreya. Just wait a second. Now, role of air bubble. Now, air bubble is what? It is used to measure water up outtake, or you can also write intake by the plant in the process of transpiration. That means the movement of the air bubble, will show us the rate of transpiration that is equivalent to the water intake by the plant. So air bubble is kept, for example, air bubble is placed here and the plant is transpiring, it is placed at 0. Now air bubble movement comes to 1 ml. That means how much water intake has been done by the plant? 1 ml at that period of time. So rate means you have to mention time. So from 0 to 1, if the bubble has moved, that means water uptake by the plant is 1 ml. So role of air bubble means air bubble indicates the movement of water intake by the plant, which is equivalent to the water lost by the plant in the process of transpiration. Next question. Wait a second. Next question. Deepa Kumari ma'am, can you please tell why the leaves of some plants wilt during midday and not recover in the evening? Again, transpiration question, very important question. Again, the same answer, that is transpiration means, what is transpiration? It is the loss of water in the form of water vapor. So if a plant is transpiring more, then the water is getting absorbed. So your answer starts with the keywords that the plant wilt when, if the rate of water absorption or absorption of water, rate of water absorption exceeds rate of the rate of water transpiration exceeds rate of water absorption by the plant. That leads to wilting. That is drooping of the plant. That is called wilting. So transpiration, if the rate of transpiration is more than rate of water absorption, it leads to wilting of the plant. Next question. I'm reading it just now. Jivesh, parts of the adrenal gland and hormone released by it, different parts. Now, adrenal gland, wait, that's from endocrine system. Now, adrenal gland. First, you need to know adrenal gland is a what? It's a cap-like, or you can say the triangular shaped gland present on the cap of the kidney. Hence, the name is suprarenal also. Please do understand this word, suprarenal. This gland is also known as suprarenal gland. So, it has two parts. Cortical part, that is cortex, and another part is medulla. Now you all know medulla part secretes an emergency hormone, and everybody knows about that emergency hormone. What is the name of that hormone? Emergency hormone, we call it to adrenaline. And what is the role of the adrenaline? Adrenaline role, you know, it helps in emotional turbulence which comes to us, fear, fight and flight. So adrenaline hormone, it helps in giving us protection, in giving an emotional cope up during fighting, flight or fear. Cortical part secretes number of hormones that includes mineralocorticoids, glucocorticoids and sex corticoids. Now these are secreted from the cortex of the adrenal gland. Now cortex means what? This is the adrenal gland, triangular shape. So the middle one is called medulla and outside one is called cortex. So from the cortex, the three of them are secreted mineralocorticoids that helps in metabolism of minerals like potassium, sodium, etc. Glucocorticoids that helps in metabolism of glucose and other carbohydrates, whereas sex corticoids that helps in the growth of the sexual feature of a person. Like for example, overgrowth of adrenal cortex give rise to the condition called adrenal virilism. Everybody knows about adrenal virilism. This is very important and I have to know that ICSE has a very favorite question, this one. What is adrenal virilism? This is because of oversecretion of sex corticoid or overgrowth of cortex of the adrenal glands, which releases this excessive secretion of testosterone that result in adrenal virilism, that is growth of beard and mustaches in the female. Any more question? Yeah, Ritika is asking, ma'am, can you please tell that why testes are located outside the abdominal cavity? Again, very interesting question. Now, testes are extra abdominal. What is the meaning of that? Extra abdominal means out of the abdomen. So it remains in hanging condition out of the body. And what is the structure which carries the testes? That is scrotum, the sac-like structure which is loosened or tightens during the temperature difference. So what happens? Testes has a function of producing sperm. Please listen properly. Producing sperms by the process called spermatogenesis. Now that is the process of sperm formation, which is called spermatogenesis. Now testes remain in hanging condition so that the temperature of the testes remains 2 degree to 3 degrees Celsius less than the body temperature. You have to mention again this word, less than body temperature. That means our normal body temperature is how much? Around 37 degrees centigrade. The testes temperature has to be little 2 degree to 3 degree less. That means around your 34-35 degree temperature it has to. Why it needs lesser temperature than the total body temperature or the overall body temperature? Because sperm production is a continuous process in testes. For the viability of the sperm, for the survival of the sperm, you have to write this. For the viability of the sperms and survival of the sperm, the temperature needed less than 2 to 3 degrees centigrade than the body temperature. Hence the testes remain in hanging condition out of the body, that is extra abdominal. Any more questions? Ashini, ma'am, can you please tell why it is better to transplant seedling in a flower bed in the evening and not in the morning? Very good question again. Now what happened? Morning means sun, temperature more and more transpiration. So what happened if the seedlings are planted in the morning or been bought in the morning? What happened if the rate of transpiration exceeds the rate of water absorption? The wilting could take place or the plant could die. The seedling could not germinate. Hence, evening what happened? As no sun, no heat, less temperature, stomata closes, hence better transplant. So this is the thing. So more heat, more temperature, that leads to the increase in the rate of transpiration, then the water absorption. Next one, Divesh. Which parts adjust the lens of eyes in the process of seeing distinct and nearby objects? Now there's a ciliary muscles and iris that helps in the focusing of the lens. So what is the answer? That could be ciliary muscles and both iris that helps in the adjustment of the lens for focusing distant and near object. Sneha, important question of evolution I am coming. Acha, Hashini ma'am, can you please explain diastole and systole? Okay, first question, the solving doubt, and I will be telling you about evolution. Now this systole and diastole again very important question. Now phases of cardiac cycle. Now arterial systole is equivalent to ventricular diastole. You have to know this, but first word you have to write in the exam. This is very important. Arterial systole. Second phase is ventricular systole. That is equivalent to arterial diastole. But when you get the question, when you get the diagram, you have to write this name. You cannot write this name. If the systole of the auricles comes in the exam, for example, if this is the heart. See here. Now what happened? These are auricles. Now if the auricles are pumping blood to the ventricle, remember, when auricles are pumping blood to the ventricle, now what happened? This is known as arterial systole. Arterial systole means when auricles pumping blood to the ventricle. So what are the valves remains which remains open? That is arterioventricular valve, that is tricuspid and bicuspid remains open, and semilunar valves remain closed. This reason you have to give. If they ask you what is the phase, you will write arterial systole. You can write also ventricular diastole, but first you have to write arterial systole. They will ask you the next question, give reason in support of your answer. So what you are going to write? The valves which are open, that is both arterioventricular valves, and valves which remain closed, that is both semilunar valve, one which is pulmonary semilunar valve, another is aortic semilunar valve. In ventricular systole, it will be opposite, that is ventricle will pump blood into the respective blood vessel. Then your valves closure and opening will be reverse one. In this way, you have to identify the stages. If you have any more questions, send. Otherwise, I will be telling you about evolution. Ma'am, can you please, Ritika has asked me, please tell that why there is frequent urination in winter than in summer. Now that's again important question. All of the questions are very important and they're ICSE. So frequent urination. Now again you have to answer this in concern to ADH. Again in summer. Now when you are writing answer, students, you have to understand that you have to mention both for winter and summer. Now what is the role of ADH? Antidiuretic hormone. Now ADH means what? It helps in water reabsorption in the kidney tubules. It helps in water reabsorption in the kidney tubules. So if it increases, water reabsorption will increase. So what happens in summer as we sweat? So as we sweat a lot, so already water is getting lost from our body due to sweating or perspiration. So ADH secretion increases, that increases water reabsorption. Whereas in winter, as we sweat less, so you have to mention again in keyword sweating. So in winter, what happened in winter? Sweating is less. So what happened? ADH secretion decreases. So water reabsorption decreases and more urine is produced. That is frequent urination. So I think you have understood. ADH secretion increases water reabsorption, hence less urine in summer, but in winter ADH decreases, so more urine is produced as less water reabsorption. So I think you have understood. So you have to answer two keyword in this question. One is sweating in summer and winter, second about ADH secretion in summer and winter. So in this way the ADH plays role in water reabsorption. Next question, if you have. Ritika asked me, ma'am, can you please explain that renal cortex has a dotted appearance and renal medulla has a striped appearance? Again, ICSE question, very important. Now, nephron of kidney has two parts. You know that the first part, which has Malpighian capsule, that consists of glomerulus and Bowman's capsule. Whereas second part is the loop-like structure called loop of Henle. Now, the cortex of the kidney is dotted due to the presence of glomerulus and Bowman's capsule. So the presence of glomerulus mainly in the cortical region of the kidney makes it appear dotted, whereas medulla part, it appears striped. Striped means like this, loop-like structure. So the striped appearance is because of the presence of loop of Henle. So you have to understand that medulla parts look like striped because of the presence of loop of Henle, whereas cortical region appears dotted because of the presence of glomerulus. So I think the answer is clear. Next question, Hashini is asking me, ma'am, can you please tell what is the location of hypothalamus? Now, hypothalamus is just under the thalamus. It is just located under the thalamus in the forebrain. Please do understand, the answer is under the thalamus. Hypo means under or below. Under the thalamus in the forebrain. Next question, ma'am, can you please tell what is the role of tonsils? Now, spleen, tonsils, they are important in releasing your lymphocytes. Now, lymphocytes helps in protecting our body by producing antibodies which fights with the infection. So when we have tonsillitis, what is tonsillitis? When there is infection of the tonsil. Why there is infection of the tonsil? When we get cold, cough or any viral infection, the tonsil gets enlarged to produce more of the lymphocytes to produce antibodies to fight infection. Now if you have viral cold and cough, you are coughing badly, you have a cold, what happens? Your tonsil get enlarged. That is known as infection in the tonsils or tonsillitis. Why your tonsil is getting enlarged? Because it is producing too many antibodies which is fighting against the infection. Any more question? Otherwise I will be telling you about the evolution. Now evolution is, you have to study about definition of evolution, very important. What is evolution? That is a gradual slow process of changing of the process of the change, which is very slow. That is how the evolution of man has taken place. That is what evolution. The next one, the theory of evolution, given by Darwin and Lamarck. So you have to understand both of their theory and their difference too. That is, Darwin gave the theory of natural selection, whereas Lamarck gave the theory of acquired of inheritance of character. That is two theory. So where Lamarck has given a theory on inheritance of acquired character, where giraffe's neck plays a great role. So you have to know about giraffe's neck. Darwin theory was on natural selection, that is survival of the fittest. So if you know the names of the theory, survival of the fittest, that means who is very strong will survive, the remaining will perish. Next, what is there in evolution? You have to deal with the stages of. Now in the theory of natural selection, one thing please know about industrial melanism. This is important question. Industrial melanism, and which insect, which animal it is dealing with? Peppered moth. Peppered moth. And what is the scientific name? Wiston Betullaria. And need to, this is scientific name, underline them. Question comes 1 or 2 marks question. Common name of that insect is peppered moth and scientific name is Wiston Betullaria. Next question, short notes on vestigial organ with example. This is very important question again. Vestigial organ, the organ which was one functional, no more functional now. For example, you have vermiform appendix, we have wisdom teeth, cecum. These are the vestigial organs. So this was a part from the short notes, part from the evolution. Next, it is stages of the man, that is evolution of man. So very nicely given in the book, stages of the evolution of man. So you have to start from Australopithecus and Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Neanderthal. In this way, you have to read each of their character. You have a table form in your book where they have given cranial capacity and other characteristic feature of the evolution of man. So these are the important thing from the evolution. So, and reproductive system, please do it properly. That is the important question. From the reproductive system, too many questions in the subjective and objective, both you are going to get. Small questions from the chapter population, pollution, they are also very important in terms of your examination. And plant physiology and animal physiology, you know you have equal weightage of question you are going to get, but probably in section B you have chances of skipping any of the questions. So the major chapter you have to deal, you have to read them properly for section A, and section B you have a chances of skipping some of the chapter, but remember physiological chapter has to be done properly. So next, and anyone having, so ma'am, Harshini ma'am, can you please, I told Ritika ma'am, please explain that bleeding occurs in plant also. Yes, bleeding occurs in plant also. Yes, when there is injury in the plant oozes out cell sap, that is called bleeding. So cell sap means that the liquid parts which comes out from the stem or the bark of the plant, that is called bleeding. Jivesh, why RCB? What is RCB? It is RBC. RBC has no endoplasmic reticulum to increase the surface area of the RBCs, to for the flexibility of the RBC to pass into the blood vessels and to carry oxygen. That is the reason. Endoplasmic reticulum, there is no presence of it because of to increase the surface area of the RBC to travel into the capillaries. Asini, ma'am, can you please tell why the sex of the child depends on the XY chromosome? So what is the XY chromosome? The XY chromosome means what? That the gender of a child depends on the Y and X chromosome. That is, if a father deliver X chromosome, then there is a female child, whereas if the father delivers Y chromosome, there is a male child. Because we know that the sex of a child is entirely depends on the sperm of the father. As female, they have egg which carries only X, whereas male, they have either X or Y sperm. So if female has to give only X, if father gives X, then a female child. If father gives Y, then it's a male child. So definitely the sex of a child depends on the sperm of the male, that is the chromosomes of the male. Any more question, children? If you have, please come. So please do the chapter plant physiology and animal physiology properly for the upcoming tomorrow examination. Hopefully you will have a very good examination tomorrow, securing full marks. Any more questions, children, if you have? Oh, Harshini asked me another question. Why menstrual cycle stops during pregnancy? Ma'am, why menstrual cycle stops during pregnancy? Okay, I'm answering that. Now, what happened? Now, menstrual cycle means the shedding of the uterus lining. Remember, children, shedding. Shedding means the uterus lining is shedding. Shedding of the endometrium of the uterus. So, what happened? During pregnancy, the endometrium gets fixed. Gets fixed due to implantation of the fetus. Why? Because there is continuous production of progesterone from the placenta. Hence, no shedding of the uterus takes place during pregnancy. If endometrium starts getting shedded, like it goes on coming out, what will happen? The fetus or embryo will undergo miscarriage. Hence, no shedding of uterus can take place during pregnancy. So, menstrual cycle means shedding of the uterus, and it has to get stopped during the pregnancy as fetus remains implanted in the endometrium for the next 9 months or 280 days for the gestation period. So the stopping of the menstrual cycle temporarily in the pregnancy, because no shedding of uterus lining or endometrium takes place, as continuous production of progesterone takes place from the placenta, from the corpus luteum, which do not allows menstrual cycle to get into the action. It stops for a temporary phase. Any more questions if anybody is having? Role of FSH and LH. Jivesh has asked me role of FSH. Now what is FSH and what is LH? Now FSH and LH. FSH is follicle stimulating hormone. Whereas LH is luteinizing hormone. Remember, they both are the hormone which are produced from anterior pituitary, and follicle stimulating hormone helps in the development and maturation of follicles, which has over So it helps in the process of follicular stages of the cycle of menstrual cycle, where the follicle development takes place by the help of follicular stimulating hormone. Whereas luteinizing hormones, they helps in the process of ovulation. That is, what is ovulation? Rupturing of the Graafian follicle to release mature ovum. So luteinizing hormones helps in the breaking or rupturing of the Graafian follicle. So this was the role of the FSH and LH. Definition of guttation asked by Hashini. Now, what is guttation? Guttation is the process where loss of water is in the form of, or you can use the word exudation. Please use the word exudation, because there is droplets of water coming out. So exudation is the word. Exudation of water in the form of water droplets. From the margin of the leaves you can write, or you can also name the structure hydatodes. Margin of the leaves, or from hydatodes. So this is the name of that structure. This is guttation. So remember, the keyword here is water in the form of water droplets. So you have to write, and the second is the structure name. This is what is called guttation. It takes place when there is like lacking of transpiration taking place in some of the plant. Hence guttation plays role in eliminating excess of water out of the plant body. So please do read all the chapters properly. Go for a reading properly so that you can answer all the questions coming tomorrow and get full marks, that is expected 100 out of 100. So all the best, children. Your exam goes good. This is a luck time. Thank you.